It's the Oatley Academy ArtCast episode 100. Interview with animation art director Ryan Carlson. Part 1. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the ArtCast by the Oatley Academy of Visual Storytelling. I'm Chris Oatley, director of the Oatley Academy and your host. I was a character designer and visual development artist at Disney, and now I teach full-time and produce this show where I help you make a living from your own imagination. Find more art and story podcasts from some of the most inspiring voices in animation, games, kids' books, VFX, and comics at oatleyacademy.com/shows. We have a lot of special things planned for this episode and episode 101. On both episodes, I have a two-part interview with a very special guest, animation art director Ryan Carlson. In many ways, I owe my career to Ryan. He played a key role in giving me my first break at Disney. He's taught me more about painting than any other individual. And he, more than anyone for whom I've worked, has intentionally helped to advance my career. And considering that the ArtCast probably wouldn't exist without my time at Disney, and the Oatley Academy only exists because of the ArtCast, the Oatley Academy might not exist without Ryan Carlson. Ryan's also one of my favorite artists. You can go check out his amazing art at ryancarlsonart.com. I especially love his plein air pastel paintings. In this episode, Ryan and I discuss why failure is a necessary part of the creative process, what makes a good art director, and Ryan's process for creating a color script. Longtime listeners of the show will have immediately noticed that Sydney is here. Sydney is my dachshund. Oh, yeah, I'm talking about you. Who, me? And I always think of Sydney as my first co-host, the first podcast co-host. And this is how it all started. Just me and Sydney, alone with our thoughts, in a portable digital recorder. But as the Oatley Academy grew, and I began to hire actual humans to evolve and improve the show, Sydney took on more of a supportive role, primarily involving cuddles and kisses. It's very important. But I asked her if she could make an appearance to help make this episode even more special. I sing and play guitar on this episode. My goodness. For years, my students have been asking me to play and sing on the podcast, and I never have because Well, because I'm insecure. I'm neither a great singer nor a great guitarist, but much of my recent artistic growth has required me to take my own advice that there is no growth without risk. And so this episode seems like as good a time as any to take a risk. So after the interview with Ryan, or part one of the interview with Ryan, I'll play a song for you. A song I chose specifically for this ArtCast. I'll talk more about that later. One last thing before I play part one of my interview with Ryan. I wanted to give you a heads up that we are launching a new workshop at the Oatley Academy called First Flight: How to Create Your New Career in Visual Development. I and 3 of the best teachers I know are going to provide step-by-step guidance for designing and developing the kind of web presence, professional network, and portfolio that you need to succeed as an animation visual development artist. There is so much bad advice out there. There are so many unanswered questions that just don't need to remain unanswered. And there are creatively inspiring, well-paying jobs to be had. I'll be talking more about First Flight in upcoming episodes of the ArtCast. And so if you want to stay up to date and get access to the early bird registration, go to the blog post associated with this podcast episode at oatleyacademy.com/go/100. oatleyacademy.com/go/100, 100. And in the left sidebar, or if you're on a mobile device, down below the post, you'll see a big orange button that says subscribe in iTunes, and you'll see another one that says subscribe via RSS, and you can subscribe either way. Okay, my friends, here is part one of my interview with friend, mentor, animation art director, Ryan Carlson.
Don't you think you should have written your notes down and questions ahead of time? No?
It's 100 episodes.
You got it. You got it down.
So, take us all the way back to when you first discovered your artistic tendencies.
Well, you know, when I was 2 years old, I think my mom still has those drawings of the trucks that I was doing. And actually, I was just up in the Bay Area. My grandmother just passed, but what my dad found in some of the old stuff they were going through was a drawing of a shoe that I had done in first grade at a crayon that looks exactly like a real shoe. It's even got, I screwed up the first time, and so I turned the paper over and redid it. Yeah. So I think that kind of, I still find myself doing that a lot, where I screw up quite a few times until I redo it, and then it's like my process. I just screw up and screw up and screw up until, you know, I do it right. So that was kind of funny to see. It was like, oh, even back then I was, you know,
right.
I needed to be perfect with it. So every time I try and find myself doing like something perfect the first time and being really clean, like some of the artists that I really admire and look at, I just get frustrated because I just don't hit it. That's one of the things that I just realized that I need to accept with myself, and that it's okay to, you know, do it and redo it and redo it and redo it until it's, you know, until it's right. Because that's just the way I work. That's part of the process. And I think a lot of people probably end up working that way and find it just like, just let it go and just, you know, have that perfect picture in your mind, but your hand's not always going to hit it. Right. So you just got to keep going until it's going, and like, oh, this little bit of mark over here, you know, blends with this better. So just keep doing that and just keep and flip it and redraw it and flip it and redraw it and bang your head against the desk and get mad at it and walk away and come back and hound through it.
I was just telling my students, literally just this week, I was saying, you can fight. Like, you can fight for this. You can just, like, it can suck. Like, that's okay. It's okay if it just sucks for a long time and you just get stubborn and just insist on making it acceptable. Like, that's an option. It's amazing how quickly we just disqualify ourselves, typically. It's like we're unwilling to tolerate the amount of time that it actually takes to... For a long time, it's going to suck, you know? The teachers in school always said there was, 10,000 bad life drawings, and you just get them out. And when you get into become a professional artist, there's an expectation that you're going to hit it every time, and you just walk into the room and boom. And we just kind of forget that we're going to suck at it for a long time, and things aren't going to work, and it's part of trying, it's experimentation, it's just going through and redoing it, and just being accepting of those failures, because you're, in the end, learn more from those than if you're succeeding every time. Right. You know, even just on the latest project, we just had the creative review with the director, and he basically didn't like anything. And when you're in that moment, it's frustrating because it's like, I realize I just worked 60 hours in a week to do these paintings and put this whole thing together, based on your direction, and you don't like it. But what came out of that was this morning, sitting down like I do sort of my ritual Saturday mornings with a sketchbook and my thoughts and maybe the script or something like that when I'm on a movie. And it spurred those failures spurred so many more things that I was like, oh, he's totally right. Even though, he didn't give me, a clear direction on what he exactly wanted, I feel like I have a clearer direction of where I need to go because I failed now. And as beautiful and as in love I was of those paintings and how mad I was at him at the time for just going, this is crap, because I know it was a beautiful painting. Right. In the end, it wasn't right for the project, and it wasn't right for the feel and the tone of what we were going for. So, in those instances, I tend to start to get mad at myself for like, shit, I should have seen it. I should have, God darn it. But it comes back to that old Richard Schmidt line of like, it takes two people to make a good piece of art. One the artist and one to come and rap the artist on the knuckles and say you're done, or finish it, or just walk away to make it a good piece of art. Because you need that extra set of eyes because you get so personally invested in stuff. And even the director on this latest project, he's writing the script, and they brought in another writer, and he's like, as much as I really wanted to be the writer, he's like, I was too close to it, and he's like, I couldn't do it. He's like, it's so freeing to walk away and just, put the trust in that you're giving the person clear direction, and you're still part of that process, but to trust in that these other people can do it and are going to do it in the end better than you could have ever done it yourself. So you just have to be trusting in that process and let go, and not be so worried that if you don't do it, then somehow you're not a good artist. I think that's the hardest part of art direction is you want that personal pat on the back from the director saying, you're doing a great, I love your artwork. But if your personal artwork isn't hitting it, and when your designer's is hitting it better, then you're a better art director if you go, let's use this person. You're right. I love this person. You're spurring it on, and you're the one that then directs the rest of the team on how to incorporate what the director likes, and that makes you a better art director rather than being the best one in the room. Yeah. What's best for the movie?
What's best for the movie?
What about something linear like a color script? It seems like as much as you're able, depending on the script and that kind of thing, you're trying to see the whole movie at once as well. Like that, what you demonstrated on the character design, you also think of the whole movie that way. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, it's all about coming up with a game plan, a formula for that, and sticking to it, and basically not trying to change your mind. It's best actually to not try and just put it all in your head. it's too much. It's an hour and a half. It's 2 hours worth of something. That's a lot of information and a lot of stuff that if you just have in your head, you're going to constantly be changing your mind of like, ooh, I could do this better, or this would be cool to do it here, but that will sometimes start detracting from the overall story. So what I find with the color script is get your initial thoughts, your blocks out quickly, and put them up on the wall, stare at them, adjust them, get the overall big sections kind of done, that theory of what you're doing, and then get it bought off on, and then stick to it. And don't deviate from that. As much as you want to, like, I think it would be prettier if this was at sunset, or if don't deviate from it, and as boring as you may feel like some of the sections are, just remember that they're only on screen for a couple of minutes, or that's the point of the scene. We all want to make pretty, beautiful, artwork, but sometimes the movie doesn't call for that. It calls for calmness or structure or different things like that.
And that creates a context too, right? If you want to have something really saturated, if you want a really saturated palette of some sort, and it's like, well, you have to remember that there's context and that you might go through a very neutral scene and in order to make the saturation more impactful.
Yeah. It all begins with just research at the beginning of the color script, talking with the director and figuring out what's the story that he wants to tell. And really sitting down, and these things take time. You can't just leap into it and take a week and just paint a color script. It takes a month. It takes a long time because you have to think through each of these things and how it's going to balance and what amount of screen time each thing is going to take. And then just doing your research of movies and photography and color palettes, and just starting out and not trying to create beautiful paintings, but just blocks of color, scribbles, taking photographs and running the mosaic or a pixelate filter over everything in Photoshop to get your blocks of color, or taking the rough brush and color picking at first and scribbling and then adjusting those colors, things like that. And just sitting and just playing with it for a long time, and again, failing over and over. This isn't working.
It's the fight.
And then you do have to be prepared at the end of that when you've gone through all this personal journey of creating and the process, to then present it to the director or to your higher up and go, hey, I don't like that. And you're just like, oh, and be okay with, okay, let's just start over and do it again. And the majority of the time, it's not a personal thing that you just have to remember, it's not a personal attack on you. It's not them saying that you are a bad person or you are a bad artist.
Right.
It's that this is not the right way to do something, or the right thing that's correct for the story.
There's something really interesting about art direction. And in fact, I try and challenge my students to learn about art direction and production design, no matter what vocation they might have in mind to which they are aspiring. It's because of the way that you have to internalize shape language and history and cultural influences on everything from architecture to costume, etc.
Yeah.
And that's something I know really challenged me witnessing your process, was just how it wasn't a chore for you, and just seeing you kind of geek out about it. Kind of didn't matter. Like, it wasn't necessarily something you were interested in beforehand. You were like, oh, I'd love to make a movie about that kind of style or that period or whatever. It didn't matter. You just would, I don't know, you're just interested in everything. And so it seemed like always for you it would be like, just give me a rabbit hole to like tumble down and I will go there. And it's interesting how a lot of times it seems like reference and beat boards and style charts and that kind of thing are kind of a chore for a lot of young artists.
Yeah, I mean, you have to put in your research. You have to put in the time ahead of time.
Right.
You can't just look at a blank canvas, unless you're doing a landscape painting or something like that. But even then, you're looking at something, right? Or it's something there, you have a specific goal in mind. And each time you do a piece, you have to have that specific goal in mind. And if you're doing personal work, it helps to establish your own goals and your own milestones, just like you were on a production where they say, we need to do this, the color script first, and then we'll do the lighting keys afterwards, or, and we'll go through this process of location design and, color, and then asset build, lighting, all the way down the pipeline. But if you do that in your own work, so you set your own goals and you don't try and jump the gun, and I can't go into layout without any assets being built, right?
Yeah, right.
It just says I can't start an illustration that I want to do of my own telling of Red Riding Hood without figuring out what that telling is first, and what those characters are going to be, how they're going to look, how they fit with the background, what the color palette and style is, what's the story, what's my unique take on that story that I want to tell. Yeah. So there's a lot of preparation that you should go into. It's fun to just scribble. The speed paintings, the warm-ups, and things like that. Right. Those are fun. That's something different. But if you want to really take your artwork to the next level, I think you really need to put that thought process and that research in. And it's okay to look at other people's artwork and look at photography and look at how other people have interpreted stuff, and you can start to find your own vision within all of that. Because at the end of the day, no matter how inventive you think you're being, it's been done before. Right. Yeah. And that was a hard pill to swallow. Like when I was in art school, that I thought, a couple of times I had done something, and I'm like, oh, this is like no one's ever done this before, and my teacher's like, it's been done before. Actually, 100 years ago. 100 years ago, or like 300 years ago. When we're not breaking any new ground here. No matter whether you're, Jeff Turley or Glenn Keane or fresh out of CalArts, you walk into every studio with your hat in your hand and say, okay, I'm ready to work, just tell me what you want, and I'll do it, and be just able to contribute stuff that way. Yeah, that's huge. I think of it personally as I'm trying to be honest here. I don't think I really sincerely was driven by, at any point by what I have to offer, in that sense, that kind of, I think sometimes there's an attitude of like, you're lucky to have me or something, and I don't think that really, I just think of it relationally. I think of it like, this is my crew, and their jobs are going to be miserable if I start trying to put on a Chris show or something. It just feels like a waste of everyone's time. It feels pointless, and I can't deliver on that anyway. So it's like it just feels like this is our day to day. Like we gotta all come to work and do this. So it takes a lot of people to make a movie. In the end. And everyone's voice should be valid. Right. But on a movie, you have to just remember that in the end, there's really one person that matters, the director, the one who has to stand up in front of the executives and the public and the heads of studios and say, this is my vision. Yeah. So if he has people underneath him that are trying to say, no, I know how to do it better than you, or I think this is a better way, it's not going to work. You're not going to last. And same thing with viz dev artists and other artists under the art director and the production designer and further down the line. If you do that, I can't use you. So it's finding, it's pretty rare to find that person that's humble and just willing to work hard. I think that's why I loved working with you, is that you were steady. You were like, all right, let's just do it. Okay, and you always put your best effort into it. Right. If you had a great idea, it's like, hey, what do you think about this? Right. But it was never like, my idea is better, so I'm just going to keep doing it my own way until someone recognizes me as the genius that I am. That's encouraging. Because you'll never be recognized. Yeah. You're really good at telling. Well, at least I can speak from my first-hand experience. Perhaps there have been other people on your crew that didn't this way, maybe. But I don't know. But I did. I felt like you were always really good at telling me no. Yeah. That was always something that I tried to kind of internalize, going like, if I'm ever in charge of a team, which I am now, I want to do that good of a job at I don't know. I don't think once
we did several movies together, and I don't think a single time did I feel like the wind was taken out of my sails. And there were many times where I went like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting. Just like you were saying about the meeting with the director, you know, it's like I was like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting this to be
a no,
maybe disappointing.
Yeah,
to you know, even and at the same time, never did that like devastate me or something. You know, it's like you were always very.
So it was nice about saying no.
And there was a thing too, I think, where, and Fred Warder is good at this too, you know, where it's like you knew how to let no happen without you actually having to say it, and only really when you realized I wasn't getting it would you kind of like then lean on me a little bit, like my silence is secret code for no, which you didn't actually say that, but the point being kind of like you would realize, okay, wait, he's not understanding, it's like further off the mark than he's realizing. And anyway, I think that's really interesting that just that intuitive aspect of, well, it's the personal side of art direction, right? It's the thing that's not it's not just painting beautiful paintings and making color scripts and doing research and all that. You've got to work with the team.
You got to work with the team, and management is a big part of it, and knowing when to say no and when to say yes, and when to give guidance is a big deal. It's a big part of it.
Right.
And that just comes with experience, I think.
Right. So back to the shoe.
Yeah.
Your parents are really supportive of your art.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some of them weren't at first, but yes. Okay,
really? That's interesting.
Yeah. Now, I shouldn't say that. As a kid, they were very supportive.
Yeah.
For sure. I think it was when I went off to get ready after high school to go off to college and what I really wanted to do with my life.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to do illustration and painting and drawing and something with that.
And this is before college?
This is before college.
Wow.
But, you know, my dad very lovingly said, you know, I think you should consider, like, just from, I mean, his world and his experience, you know, look at graphic design or something like that, because he and his head of marketing dealt with a lot of graphic designers and saw that as a very profitable vocation and didn't see. So there was a period there where he was like, I don't know if really that's what you want to do. I think you should go. But typesetting drove me nuts.
Yeah.
At least at the time, it's just not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And there's some people, I have friends that went to school that revel in it and are amazing at it. There's my friend Martin G. works for, he worked for Time. I think he's moved on now, but he does amazing, just graphic design, and it's brilliant stuff. But that he gets off on typography and stuff, and it just was never something that I really wanted to do. So I tried it, but ultimately changed courses, and then I think in the end my dad actually turned around and was very, very supportive. And I don't want to say that he wasn't discouraging, but he was just, I think he was concerned. Let's make sure that this is really, you can make a living doing this and stuff. So how pre-college did you get this paradigm of the idea of illustration, right? That's so specific. What were those influences that helped you form that paradigm? I mean, usually the idea of like being a commercial illustrator comes out of being exposed to an art curriculum. Actually, I don't know if I really knew what I wanted to do. I mean, I collected comic books, watched a lot of movies, liked to draw comic books all through high school, things like that. But wasn't really exposed to illustration and real illustrators until college.
Okay.
That's when I really sort of discovered, the N.C. Wyeths and Howard Pyle and all those type of guys, Al Parker. So I for a while I thought I wanted to be an animator, and so when I was at San Jose State, I took animation courses.
Which happened. Yeah. You became an animator.
Well, it was an in-betweener, a tracer, as a cleanup artist. But, I don't know. I don't know why it just... I studied illustration at San Jose State, but then, at one point in my career saw how 2D animation was dying and moved into painting again. Stuff for film. But I've never I've gone a very weird route because I've never gone through the traditional entertainment design, location design pathway.
Yeah.
I came about to what I'm doing in a very odd, circuitous route that most people have been like, how did you in the world? And people who I used to work with that I run into now are like, really?
Yeah.
How'd you get there? And I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah. Part of it is I had a lot of people that took chances on me.
Yeah.
And so I'm very blessed and very thankful that there were those people out there that did that.
Right. It's interesting that the shoe was observational.
Yeah.
Was that something that you did that perpetuated, that you would draw from observation?
No, that was just like, that was a weird, I mean, I guess I did some drawing, class assignments, things like that, more from observation, but when I would just do my random doodles and drawings, it was more cartooning and superheroes and just my own out of my head type of thing. I did spend a lot of time in like junior high drawing airplanes.
Interesting.
And looking at airplanes and drawing them, and that was it. That was all I drew for like a couple of years, or something like that. And I think because at that time I wanted to be a pilot. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was something that really drew me to something that I would want to do as a job.
Yeah.
Just thought it was really amazing.
Where did that come from?
That I have no idea. And I'd never, other than flying commercially, I had never really been in a small plane or anything like that until much, much later. But I thought I wanted to be a fighter pilot. Yeah. Until I realized you had to be really smart, and I just wasn't cut out for that. You had to go through engineering school, and I'm like, oh, never mind.
Wow.
And you had to, do the military drilling stuff, and I'm like, never mind. No, that's not me. So, but yeah, for a long time, that's what I just drew was airplanes. That was one of the first things, and that's, I had a lot of fun doing planes because of that, because I love aviation, and, we got to go to air shows and talk to pilots and walk around the airplanes, and this was like my childhood, like I didn't have art books when I was a kid, other than how to draw Star Wars characters. Right. Awesome. I had books on airplanes. Yeah. And that was all I drew.
Wow. Were the drawings any good?
You'd have to ask other. I don't know. All I remember is that we had one of those old dot matrix printers with the wheels on the side, the perforations on the sides of the paper that would pull it out, and then you'd have to like tear it off for each one. So I'd take out 2 sheets out of the roll, tear it off, so I had 11 by 17 basically. I would draw on that, but every single one had a seam of the perforated seam down the center of it. And I would draw different airplanes, just mainly fighter jets and stuff like that. I just drew thousands of them.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really interesting. I didn't know that you were that interested in planes prior to the movie. Yeah. I didn't realize. That's cool. Yeah. Wow. Oh, so you grew up in Palo Alto?
Grew up in Palo Alto.
To be clear.
Right. And then left and actually went to Northern Arizona University to study graphic design. Right. For a whole host of factors, including just being my first time away from home. Yeah. Decided it was better to come back because it just had too much fun. Right. And just too many distractions. So I ended up taking a semester off and working. Okay. And just was a bag boy at a grocery store. Yeah.
Why Arizona?
I had family that was down there. Okay. And they had at the time they had a decent graphic design program, and they had a bit of an illustration program, but then as soon as I got there, they got rid of it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How convenient.
So, ended up then enrolling in San Jose State. I had heard about it from my high school art teacher. Went down and visited, and I think it's just someplace that was closer to home, and I think I was just at that point ready to buckle down and okay, I need to figure out what I want to do in life and actually learn. And so
that's
went through the whole program there in like 3.5 years, something like that.
What do you think was that maturation? What do you think that was Was just kind of having your butt kicked a little bit by life, or?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it was the failing at NAU that I failed and realized, oh, okay, I can't keep doing this.
Right.
I have to make a change to it, and that's, I think it was just a maturity, and thankfully on my own part that I was like, oh, hey, dummy, you got to do this, and so completely gave up everything that I was kind of doing at that point and just buckled down and did school. Yeah. And really focused on that. And
oh, that's huge. That's I mean, because it's hard to do. It's hard to have that kind of foresight when you're that young.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Well, I also then, luckily, once I enrolled at San Jose, had several teachers that, again, thankfully, saw potential in what I was doing and wouldn't let me ever go back down that path. And then I had other teachers that would push me, and I liked the challenge, and a lot of different factors were really influential in just doing that.
Did you have teachers that encouraged or shaped your art in high school or earlier?
No.
Yeah. So it was just kind of art class. It was just default art class.
Default art class. Yeah. It was, honestly, I liked doing, I knew I wanted to do something with art, but it was also the time to screw around, goof off, and art rooms in high schools are big cavernous places that the teacher isn't always paying attention, so you can always just wander off and go do other things.
All the time. Yeah.
I guess it was in a lot of ways a late bloomer. In my art process. It wasn't, it was always something that I did, and it was always something that everyone thought I was good at, but I never really became serious about it until sort of my second time through college. In that way, when I went to San Jose State.
I sort of waffled. I mean, I would have times where I'd be serious about it, and I don't think I was ever not serious. Like, it was never out of mind. Like, it was always, I think I perceived myself being a professional artist in some, it was kind of like a blurry picture of that, but I mean, in some way, I did understand, I understood, like, there is a way to be an artist and have money. Like, you could do that. You can make money as an artist. Don't exactly know how, but I was sort of exposed to Disney animation and that kind of thing a little bit, but I was like, I didn't have it quite figured out, but that's tough. It's a difficult connection to make. So how did you do that then? How did you make that shift from, because graphic design is much more immediate, I think. There's a lot more people who would make that association, right? They'd go, oh, you're creative, generically, and then, oh, you should be a graphic designer, or oh, I have a cousin who's a graphic designer, you should do this. So that is less of a surprise. But then you get to San Jose State, you start buckling down on your art specifically, or just college. You're just like, I'm going to apply myself to study. Right, because those are two different things. It was both. Okay. But I think at San Jose, I then saw the opportunity that we have a dedicated illustration program. Okay. That you actually have to present a portfolio to get into. Right. And it was a dedicated process to go through to do all that. But I was also ready to just study and buckle down and do the work on all levels. Yeah. Most importantly, though, then the illustration program. And my last year that it was there, they started up their animation program, and that is what spurred me and got me into animation career in the animation industry. Okay. So senior year, you took some classes. Okay.
Well, yeah, they were changing over their whole program because a lot of illustration was dying off. Mm-hmm. There is no more. What was it?
Entertainment Weekly.
No one was doing. They were just using photographs, and Drew Struzan was the last of the movie poster guys. There was just one left. No one was painting movie posters anymore. No one was painting the covers to the, what was the Saturday Evening Poster. There's magazine covers. Editorial illustration was becoming, harder and harder to make a living at. Yeah. And the market was just flooded with those types of people. So they started up the animation program, and just really enjoyed doing that. Wow. And just something about seeing your drawings and stuff in motion was incredibly satisfying, and interesting. It's like, I'm breathing life into this something. And it was also another big challenge, which is, I think I I thrive on someone putting that big challenge in front of me and rising to that.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's,
you know,
that's
I
been
like
the
it.
case for so long.
I hate going through it.
Right.
I mean, I like the idea of it at the beginning. It's like, that's awesome. I have no idea how I'm going to do this, but this is going to be great. And then I sit down to do it, and I'm like, I hate this.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this at all. I don't want to be here. I want to go crawl back into bed. I want to go spend time with my kids. I want to, you know, be somewhere else than here.
Yeah.
As I'm going through it. You know, Wendy can attest to the times when I'll just be swearing up a storm in my office, or my head in my hands, just like, oh my God, this isn't working, this isn't working. She'll just like open the door, look at me, and walk away. So she's just like, okay, just nope, kids, leave daddy alone. But I go through that learning process,
Right.
and come out on this another level. You know, it's the runner's high of art, right? Where it's like you're running that marathon. You like the idea. It's like, I'm going to run a marathon.
Yeah.
That's cool. Not a lot of people do that. But when you're running it, I have a feeling it sucks for a long time.
Yeah.
Until you're done. And then you're like, that was incredible.
Exactly. Yep.
You know, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same way for me. I just have to, when I get through with that whole process, I'll sometimes turn off and then just kind of be done with it and not want to do it anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had that.
Oh, yeah.
That where you're just like, I've solved the problem.
Yeah. And
Now
it's
I can.
depressing.
Yeah, and you're like, well, now what?
Yeah.
You know, but you know, there'll always be another mountain.
Yeah,
There'll always be something else that you can turn to, that you can elevate, or that you can just. But then there's also times that you need to give yourself that personal grace.
Yeah.
And just go, that was good. That was an amazing accomplishment, and I can give myself that rest right now, and not have to chase after the next goal yet.
Right.
And just enjoy that was a struggle, and be okay with not having to advance. I think we always are always looking for that next. At least me personally, looking for the next hurdle.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I've done this. I've conquered this. You know, I've figured out how to perspective, or I've figured out how to paint in someone's style, and like incorporated that in my own work, and it's made it so much better and stuff. But where's that next thing that I can go? How do I make myself better again now? And for those of us who are like really internally driven like that, to remind ourselves, just sit on the couch and watch football.
Yeah.
Just go out and walk on the beach with your girlfriend, and or you know, just do whatever, you know, spend some time. And it's okay to spend a week or two off not doing art. I think sometimes that's even just hugely beneficial. I think we as artists feel like we constantly need to do it. Otherwise, we'll forget how to do it, or we'll forget those lessons learned. Yeah. But they don't go away. Yeah. You know, you'll get cold a little bit, and when you first come back, you'll be just like, oh my God, I did forget everything. But, you know, after a couple of drawings or something, you're like, oh wait, never mind, that was dumb. Of course, I still have all that. That's still all there, and now they're all so much better than when I look back to where they were before.
Yeah, I'm trying to celebrate those victories. I'm trying to, especially now that I have a team. Yeah. I realized we don't even have to finish something for me to already be thinking about the next thing. Yeah. Tendency is why I've had such a hard time finishing things in my, like, for my whole life, my entire life. And it's because I'm so future focused, and that can be a really great asset. And it can also be a real detriment, and it can also wear my team out, or my freelancers, or my family, for that matter. You know, because just like you're saying, it is counterintuitive for me to pause and live with a sense of accomplishment. Mm-hmm. It's as much as I'm driven by a goal, the actual accomplishment is not interesting to me. I'm just like, let's move past. But then that can drive my team insane. Right. Because they're like, we just worked really hard to get to this goal, and you're like, yeah, okay, now we're done. Let's go on to the next one. They're like, no. Yeah. I want to enjoy this. I want to like. Well, and they want that validation. They want that sense of like, did I do a good job? And I'm like, of course you did. Right. Like, but we had a great time, didn't we? You know, and it's like, that's part of I think a big part of art direction too, is remembering that your team needs a sense of validation, and that they did a good job in accomplishing what you need to do, and also knowing how to encourage them when you're not hitting goals or things like that, or you hit setbacks. Yeah. that stuff.
Because as a person, an artist, we tend to, I think, as artists, we tend to internalize a lot of stuff, and we, at least for me, I can kind of shut down and get really quiet.
Yeah.
But that just makes people think I'm mad,
right?
You know, and you want to just take that breather and just go to everybody else, and sometimes just talking it through with everybody else is almost like just talking to yourself.
Wow.
And it's like, okay, you know, if you hit a goal and stuff like that, going through and congratulating your team, and even if, you know, you feel like some parts didn't work and some parts didn't, but you go through and give everyone that personal validation. You looking back, that global view. Did we go and hit that goal and what we wanted to do? Did we hit it? And going through and giving them validation will, in the end, just give you yourself as the leader of that team the validation that you need.
Now it's music time. I've already recorded the song, and I'm nervous just thinking about you listening to the song. There's no growth without risk. So this is a song called Dance Around the Fire. It's by an American folk artist named Slade Cleaves. I heard this song at a coffee shop in Columbus, Ohio, years ago, before I broke in at Disney, I think. And the melody hooked me right away. And then the chorus, the refrain is kind of haunting and inspiring, both. And, well, even saying that out loud, I realize why the song resonated with me. And there was no such thing as Shazam or anything like that, so I had to go up to the counter and ask the barista who the artist was and what the song title was. You know, sometimes you couldn't get it in time, and that was always sad. But I got it in time, and I went home and downloaded it. There was downloading of music. That was a thing. And I was able to discern what words he was saying. But I actually did not understand the song. I thought the song was about relationships. And I thought it was about holding on, despite the sort of struggle of life. But that's not at all what the song is about, I later realized. The song is about what I think, at the heart, the ArtCast is about.
Everybody dance around the fire tonight. You don't have to wait till it's your turn. Everybody dance a little closer to the flame tonight, but don't get burned. Bill's been thinking a lot these days about the way things used to be. He's never been the kind of man to put much faith in destiny. Sometimes he feels the warmth of a fire from long ago. Sometimes he steps into the night and all he feels is the winter cold. Everybody dance around the fire tonight. You don't have to wait till it's your turn. Everybody dance a little closer to the flame tonight. Don't get burned. They met in high school and they never had a doubt. There'd be some hard times, but old Bill would find a way to work things out. Katie had a way about her that made old Bill believe. Small farm and 3 kids later, it looked just like a perfect family. But one day Bill found out what he should have known all along. Things fall apart sometimes. One minute something's there and then it's gone. With the kids in bed that night, Katie gently shut the door. She turned to Bill and said, "I'm sorry, but I don't love you anymore." And now he spends his days just like he's always done. He never guessed the sorrow that he's hid so well from everyone. The house is empty now, the kid's grown up and gone. And Bill slips into bed at night with Katie right by his side, and they hold on. Everybody dance around the fire tonight. You don't have to wait till it's your turn. Everybody dance a little closer to the flame tonight, but don't get burned. Everybody dance around the fire tonight. You don't have to wait till it's your turn. Everybody dance a little closer to the flame tonight, but don't get burned. Everybody dance around the fire tonight. You don't have to wait till it's your turn. Everybody dance a little closer to the flame tonight, but don't get burned. Pray, hey, hey, 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 you don't get burned.
Everybody dance around the fire tonight. You don't have to wait till it's your turn. Everybody dance a little closer to the flame, but don't get burned. The character, Bill, in the song, has lost his fire. He's lost touch with his big dreams. And he has pursued other things that are good, other things that have helped to make him happy, that he's found fulfillment in. But at some point he stopped dreaming. He lost his fire. And the refrain of the song is, I think, really good advice. Don't wait until it's your turn. Keep the fire alive, your passion, your creativity, but don't get burned. Don't get so close, so obsessed, so lost in the dream, or so disappointed when things don't work out the way you planned. Don't get burned. In part 2, Ryan talks about working on the Iron Giant and what he learned from Brad Bird, his advancement from effects animator, and more about what makes a great art director. And the 100th episode celebration continues as we'll play a segment from a behind-the-scenes panel discussion that the Oatley Academy team and I recorded last year. So if you'd like to know more about how we make the show and get to know the beautiful people who work on it, you'll have that to look forward to. As an Oatley Academy student, you get access to extended producer's cut versions of most of our podcast interviews. And you can hear the entire interview with Ryan Carlson, which includes 40 minutes of extra audio. We go into depth about the gorgeous project he was working on at Paramount before it was shut down. Just enroll in any of our self-guided courses at oatleyacademy.com/courses. Please join us for the episode 100 celebration in the comments section of the blog post associated with this podcast episode at oatleyacademy.com/go/100. That's 100. Again, oatleyacademy.com/go/100. Please post your reactions to anything that you liked about this episode. And I think it would be really fun if you could share one of your favorite moments from the 100 episodes of the ArtCast so far. So again, oatleyacademy.com/go/100. You can download an MP3 of my performance of Dance Around the Fire, such as it is, at oatleyacademy.com/go/100. Thank you to the entire Oatley Academy team, especially Anya Marcos and Kevin Chandler, for sharing your time and talents with me and the ArtCast audience. I love working with all of you more than any other professional experience I've had in my career. And thank you, as always, my friends, our positive, passionate, creative community, for supporting the Oatley Academy. Those of you who have been with us since episode 1, and those of you who are newly arriving. Until next time, my friends, stay strong and stay close. The ArtCast is a production of the Oatley Academy of Visual Storytelling. I'm Chris Oatley, your host and producer. My assistant producers are Anya Marcos and Ejua Ebenepa. Kevin Chandler edited this episode. Mara Roberts and I wrote the copy. The music is by Storybook Steve and Kangaralian. Find more art and story podcasts designed to help you make a living from your own imagination at oatleyacademy.com/shows. In part 2, it's terrifying. Sounds like a hellhound. Don't get burned. Good advice, I think. Okay, well, enough stalling, Oats. It's time to get naked. And by naked, I mean vulnerable. I hope you didn't need that translation just then. Okay. What kind of podcast is this? How many episodes have you recorded? Okay, let's move on. Okay. Oh dear. Come on, Sydney. I promise I'm wearing my pierced heart hoodie. Just like you're imagining. Okay, everyone. Let's move on. You can download an MP3 of my performance of Dance Around the Fire at oatleyacademy.com/go/100. So if you'd like to cue that up on your portable media player or desktop computer or your record player, I suppose that could be arranged. Have to be a DIY situation. You can go download the MP3. You can download an MP3 of my performance of Dance Around the Fire. Well, that sounds presumptuous, doesn't it? I just knew people would want it. Would want that. That's it. I guess that's the definition of presumptuousness. Presumptiveness? I don't know. What's the grammatically correct way to talk about my presumptuousness? Well, too late. You can download an MP3 of my performance, such as it is, at oatleyacademy.com/go/100. Thank you to the entire Oatley Academy team. Oh no, I walked back to the hellhound. Okay. We've got to... Okay. Thank you to the entire Oatley Academy team.